Today, I just got done seeing, yes, The Toxic Avenger. Now, why do I think only 3 people are watching this? Because this movie ain't playing in a lot of places. Budget, $2 million. We had to drive like an hour out to go see this thing. So far, it's made around 2.2 million or so, so it's made its money back, which is good. But guys, The Toxic Avenger, what even is it? Well, you've seen it before. Or if you haven't seen the movie, you've at the very least seen the images. I'll put one right here. But this is essentially a cult classic from the 80s. 84, 86, I think the 4th one was in 2000. Yeah, there were 4 of these puppies. And they were coming out of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, just pile of, gross mutant sort of heroes, right? And it started off as a comic, and this is the 2025 reboot. I'm not giving you a lore dump, just sort of that little bit of tidbit of information. So what the hell is The Toxic Avenger? Well, let me read you this little movie summary. The Toxic Avenger is a groovy, gory reboot of the 1984 cult classic. It follows janitor Winston Goose, played by, of course, Peter Dinklage, a grief-stricken dad diagnosed with an aggressive brain tumor. When corporate overlords deny his desperately needed medical coverage, I cannot talk today, my boy Winston goes directly to the manufacturer himself, takes that money, that they basically just have a big safe. But in the midst of getting away with the money, he runs into someone else, gets caught, they shoot him in the head, they throw him into a big old vat of ooze, and he comes out as, yes, Toxie, aka the Toxic Avenger. So, where do we go from there? The whole movie is essentially Toxie, trying to convince everyone that he's a good guy. So the main theming with this movie is the evilness of the medical empire that is all over the world, right? This movie has very much a hashtag Free Luigi sort of messaging to it, and I'm all here for it, baby. Let's go. So aside from that setup, I'm not going to get into spoilers because, again, guys, I want you to see this. This is an incredible movie. I absolutely love this. Again, like I said before, $2 million budget. The prosthetics, just everything. The gore, the way it looked, just the style, even the actors. I don't know how this wasn't like a $10, $12 million budget, but no, just simply $2 million. That is half the salary of a single cast on Avengers. I don't know how that happens. But let me explain a little bit more about the practical effects. So we have the Toxie costume, and I do mean costume. It is a physical suit that is worn, not by Peter Dinklage, but by someone else I forget. Peter Dinklage does the voiceover after his transformation. But the suit is insanely impressive. How the eye comes out when he gets shot, you see like this blue blood like oozing out of him, and you see his like skin folds like trying to wrap around each other. It looks incredible. The gore, right alongside that, it is over the top. He has this like toxic mop as a weapon, so he'll like slash at someone's face, and it just like completely slashes, or I guess it like burns away the top of their scalp. So you see like the person's brain like trying to figure out what's going on. Then the brain just explodes. There's stuff everywhere. This thing is an absolute delight if you're into, like a good old fashioned gore fest. And apparently, so I've not seen the originals, right? But apparently the director of those ones praised this reboot, basically saying that it was closer to the source material, which makes sense because a lot of those 80s comics, even TMNT comics, were a lot more, not necessarily gory, but they were definitely a lot more edgy, a lot more hells and damns, But what? First thing I noticed sitting down for the movie is the aesthetic. You'll notice this very quickly. We have this sort of like purple, green, toxic sludge aesthetic, and it works super well. It sort of has this like rave kind of look to it at first. And that actually, So I don't know if this is a negative or a positive. I think I'm leaning more towards a negative. Not what I've said before. This is what it is, okay? The first, like, third of the movie has a very different feel from the last 2/3 of the movie. It feels like they swapped out cinematographers. And what I mean by that is up until the moment that he transforms into Toxie, the way that the film is recorded, it feels more like a music video. Like someone who has done music videos their whole life was brought into it. And I see that aesthetic and I like it, but it's just a little jarring because at a certain point, again, after he transforms, it sort of turns, they turn the music video knob down and they turn up the 80s aesthetic up a whole bunch. So they kind of swap vibes halfway through, but I like both vibes. It's just a little odd, I'll say. But in terms of being an 80s superhero crazy sort of movie, this movie is not afraid to be silly, and I love it for that. Like there's this sort of running gag where there's this bird that like drinks toxic sludge, and so it has these like buggy eyes. And instead of just leaving that to one thing, they make this like cute little puppet, and it has like these buggy eyes and stuff. And you know, it just, so much of that humor works so well. And there's this one moment where I forget the name of the evil group, something nuts, like these, it's not these nuts, it's something else. Essentially one of them, their mask is unveiled and it's like a prosthetic little baby, and they're just like Chud Haven, and it's just really funny. I love how silly it can get. It's not afraid to do so, and it's the best thing about that humor and how it works is it's not too silly to the point where everyone's fine with that. Like, for example, they see the prosthetic baby, and Toxie's looking at it, he's like, what the hell is that? You know? And yeah, you know, I will say humor-wise, it doesn't always work. There are definitely moments where it's mostly like background stuff. So, for example, if like a public outbreak, everyone's going crazy, there's usually like 2 or 3 lines that are said in the background. You don't see who's saying it. And it just feels kind of random. Like it's not really on point. Like it'll just be someone that's like, oh, I think there's a riot outside. Oh, really? That's crazy. And it's like, I just don't think you needed to add that in, because it definitely seems like it's, they recorded it after the movie was kind of done. And they're like, oh, well, this scene feels kind of empty. Maybe we'll add in an extra line or two to make it feel, you know, like there's more people around. I just don't think that was necessarily needed. But aside from the humor and the aesthetic, let's get into the actual characters. The tension works with Winston. So essentially, as I mentioned at the beginning, Winston has this brain tumor. It's spreading rapidly. He's got a year to live. So essentially we have this whole struggle where he's on the phone. We all had this phone call with the insurance. And it's just this, it's funny, but it's so sad at the same time, where he's on the phone and he's like, oh yeah, I have the platinum insurance plan. Will you cover my medication? And the lady's like, ooh, the gold plan is what you need. And it's like, is platinum not higher than gold? I don't, like, I feel that stress. I feel that tension. Like that, oh man, I vibe with that way too much. And we feel this with, one thing that doesn't work as well is the tension between Peter Dinklage's character Toxie, or Winston at this point, and his stepson. So essentially, Winston was dating this girl. The girl had a son. She died. So now he's sort of taking care, as if this is his son in general, right? So there's this little bit of tension, and it's just kind of obvious, you know, the whole like, you're not my real dad. I just feel like I've seen that in a bunch of different places before. But I don't mind it here because there's definitely a bit of a twist on it. But I still have to point out, you know, that it's very similar to things that we've seen before. They even have like the whole, you know, you didn't come to the big show when I needed you, you know, that kind of thing. And again, that's fine. It works, but it doesn't work as well as some other elements in the movie. The biggest thing that I liked was the tackling of the medical issues. Like I said, this is very much a hashtag Free Luigi kind of movie. So I'm absolutely down for it. Also, one thing I did not realize until the end of the movie, Kevin Bacon is the main villain. For some reason, that did not click with me until I saw his name in the credits. But yeah, it's just insane. You have Kevin Bacon, Peter Dinklage, and Elijah Wood, Frodo himself, all playing roles. And I just, like, how was this movie's budget $2 million? I don't understand. Like, the suit, the gore, everything, just fantastic. But you know what? I'm not going to slob on the knob that much, all right? Let's get into some negatives, all right? So, one thing I love about the movie is the practical effects. So when they do a little bit of that CGI, at times it looks really good, but there are some moments where, let's say he, like, you know, burns someone's scalp off. If it's not prosthetics, it does look a little bit iffy. Not bad, but just iffy. Like, it'll kind of zoom in. You can kind of tell, like, oh, it's just an effect or whatever. That's not a big deal. I just thought I'd point that out. The final boss design. So essentially, Kevin Bacon's character takes some of the ooze. He transforms into this toxic monster. It's just Krampus. It's kind of weird. Like, he grows a big white beard, and he's got like a coat on, and he's got horns coming out. And I was like, yeah, it's just Krampus. I'm assuming that it's related to like a real villain from like the comics or something. But yeah, I don't know. I wasn't huge on that villain. For his character, I did like his character, because it's like this guy that manipulated his way to the top, and, you know, money from the mob. And like, that works. That works. It's just the final design that I wasn't a huge fan of. That and last thing, JJ. She's like a black girl in the movie. She helps out in like the final mission, and she's kind of running around at the beginning and the middle. Very forgettable. I kind of forgot that she was even in the movie until like right now. She doesn't really do too much. She bumps into Peter Dinklage's character after he steals money from his employer, you know, for money for his medical debt, or just to get the medicine. And that's kind of like the most important part. But I feel like you could have cut her out. Like, all of her sections just aren't necessarily super necessary. Like, she's there, but if she wasn't there, things would have still happened. Like, These Nuts evil group, they like shoot a reporter that she was involved with, and then she bumps into Peter Dinklage, and then she helps him out in the final little act. But again, you take her out, movie doesn't really change. But that is about it, guys. This movie is a super incredibly solid 8 out of 10. Please go see this if it's literally playing anywhere near you. It's pretty much made its budget back, so I'm really happy to see that we'll potentially get a sequel, because they did say do a little Toxie will return at the end. So I'm really pumped for that. But anyway, guys, catch me in the next video, and maybe for Toxic Avenger 2. Yo, let's go.